I was born with a song inside me. Before I ever learned to speak, I hummed melodies my mother said sounded like prayer. In our little house in Newark, music wasn't entertainment, it was survival. My mother, Cissy Houston, sang in the church choir, and when she opened her mouth, the walls shook. I used to watch her and think, if I sing loud enough, maybe someone will love me the way they love her. Church was my first stage. I still remember the smell. Old wood, perfume, sweat, and tears. People crying, hands lifted high, voices trembling. I learned early that when you sing with your whole heart, you can make strangers believe you understand their pain. Maybe that's why I sang the way I did. Not to be famous, but to be understood. But fame came anyway. They called me the voice. I was barely out of my teens when the world decided I was perfect. Every note I hit became proof that I was untouchable. But perfection is a cage with velvet walls. Once people believe you're flawless, they stop seeing the woman underneath. Everyone wanted something, a hit, a photo, a smile, a little more of me. No one ever asked if I had anything left to give. And then I met Bobby. People love to tell that story like it was a mistake. But the truth? At first, it felt like freedom. I'd spent my whole life trying to be good, polite, pure. Bobby didn't care about any of that. He was fire, unpredictable, dangerous, alive. When he looked at me, I didn't feel like a product. I felt like a woman. We laughed until we couldn't breathe. We partied like there was no tomorrow. He said, "You've been everyone's good girl for too long. Let's just live." And I believed him. I thought love could save me from loneliness. Instead, it built me a new kind of prison. Our love was loud, too loud. When two storms meet, they don't calm each other down. They destroy everything around them. We were passionate, yes, but we were also toxic. Arguments turned into shouting, shouting turned into silence, and silence turned into escape, drugs, alcohol, anything that made the noise stop for a while. People blamed him for my fall. They said, he dragged me down. Maybe he did. But I didn't fight hard enough not to fall. You see, I wasn't addicted to drugs. I was addicted to escape. To the feeling of not being Whitney Houston for a few hours. Because Whitney Houston, the superstar, the perfect woman with the perfect smile, she couldn't cry. She couldn't break. But I could. And I did. There were moments on stage when I felt the old magic. When the band started, the lights hit my face, and for a heartbeat, I was free again. But it never lasted. The applause was my medicine, and the silence after the show was withdrawal. People say fame kills slowly. That's not true. It kills fast, you just die in pieces. First, you lose your privacy. Then your peace. Then your sense of who you are when no one's watching. By the time I looked in the mirror and saw what I'd become, I couldn't recognize myself. The girl who sang in church, the girl who believed music could heal, she was gone. There were interviews, headlines, jokes. They called me washed up, crazy, addict. No one called me human. But you know what hurt most? It wasn't the tabloids or the laughter. It was my daughter watching it all. Bobby Christina, my baby, my little shadow. She used to dance backstage during my rehearsals, wearing my heels, pretending to hold a microphone. I wanted her to see her mother as strong. Instead, she saw me drowning in my own voice. People always said, "Whitney, you had everything." But they didn't understand. Everything is nothing when you can't find peace inside your own skin. Sometimes, in hotel rooms after the concerts, I would stare at the ceiling and whisper, "God, if you take the music away, who am I?" And he stayed silent. Maybe because he wanted me to answer that myself. But I never did. Bobby and I became headlines. Love turned to chaos, chaos to pain. The world watched us fall apart in slow motion. We tried to fix it, we really did. I went to rehab, came back, promised to change. But addiction doesn't care about promises. It feeds on guilt and loneliness. There were moments of light. A comeback performance here, a smile there. But deep down, I was exhausted. Exhausted from pretending. Exhausted from being everyone's miracle and no one's person. People used to say, "Whitney, you can do anything." But I couldn't do the one thing I wanted most, to be at peace with myself. The more I searched for love, the further I drifted from it. Because love, the real kind, doesn't come from applause. It doesn't come from men or music or fame. It comes from stillness, something I never learned. Looking back, I think that's what destroyed me, not the drugs, not Bobby, not the fame. It was the emptiness that followed every standing ovation. I used to sing, "I will always love you." The audience thought I was singing it to someone else. But I was really singing it to the girl I used to be. To the little church girl who sang to be heard, not to be famous. And somewhere along the way, that girl got lost in the noise. There's a sound that every performer fears: silence. Not the peaceful kind that lets you rest, but the kind that follows when the crowd stops clapping and the lights go out. That silence used to terrify me. Because when it came, I was left alone with myself, and I didn't know who that was anymore. After years of singing to millions, I couldn't even speak to the woman in the mirror. I'd see her, tired eyes, trembling hands, a face people still called beautiful, and I'd think, "You're not Whitney Houston. You're just what's left of her." There was always talk about comebacks. Producers wanted the old Whitney, as if she could just be summoned like a song. But the truth was, the old Whitney had died quietly somewhere between the applause and the loneliness. The one who remained was trying to hold the fragments together with whatever was left: faith, memory, and pain. People think fame is power, but fame is hunger. It eats everything: your privacy, your honesty, your peace. You become what people need you to be: the perfect voice, the untouchable beauty, the legend. And when you can't keep up, they call you a tragedy. I remember nights when I'd sit in my house, surrounded by gold records, and feel absolutely empty. All those trophies shining on the walls couldn't warm the room. The more success I had, the colder it got. I tried to pray. I tried to heal. But every time I tried to stand up, the world was there with a camera, waiting for me to stumble. Sometimes I'd look at my daughter, my sweet Bobby Christina, and feel both hope and guilt. She had my smile, my eyes, my spirit. But she also had my shadow. I wanted so badly to protect her from the life that devoured me. But how could I, when I was still fighting my own demons? I told her once, "Baby, don't let them define you." And she said, "Mama, they already did." That broke me. I started losing people, not just friends, but parts of myself. Trust, joy, simplicity. Even music started to hurt. The same songs that once set me free began to remind me of everything I'd lost. But I still sang. Because that's what I knew. Even when my voice cracked, even when people whispered that I wasn't the same, I sang. Not for them anymore, but for me. My voice was like my soul. Damaged, but real. And for the first time, I wasn't trying to be perfect. I was just trying to be honest. The world loves a comeback story. But not every woman gets one. Some of us don't need redemption. We just need rest. There were rumors, documentaries, endless headlines, everyone trying to explain who I was. But none of them really knew. They knew the songs, the scandals, the performances. Not the nights I cried on hotel bathroom floors. Not the mornings I woke up and wished the stage would disappear. Not the quiet moments when I'd whisper to God, "I just want to go home." And I don't mean home, as in a place. I mean peace. You reach a point where even love feels heavy. Bobby and I had gone our separate ways long ago, but the memories stayed. The good, the bad, the unbearable. I used to blame him for everything. But as I got older, I realized we were both just lost kids who didn't know how to love ourselves. People said I had everything, but they never understood that the higher you climb, the lonelier the air gets. I tried to come back one last time. I wanted to prove that the voice still lived in me. And for a moment, when I stepped on that stage, I felt her. That girl from Newark, the one who sang so God could hear her. She was still there, hidden under the years, the pain, the noise. But when the song ended, she was gone again. That was when I knew my story wasn't about winning anymore. It was about letting go. Letting go of what people thought I was. Letting go of perfection. Letting go of the weight of being Whitney Houston. The truth is, I didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to stop. And sometimes those two things look the same. People say I drowned. But long before that, I was already underwater, trying to breathe in a world that never stopped demanding more of me. If I could speak now, I wouldn't ask for sympathy. I'd ask for understanding. To be remembered not as the woman who fell, but as the one who gave everything, every breath, every note, every heartbeat, to her music. Because even at my lowest, when everything else faded, the music stayed. It was the one thing that never lied to me. I used to think love was something you earned, through beauty, through talent, through giving all of yourself. But love isn't earned. It's allowed. And maybe, if I'd understood that sooner, I wouldn't have tried so hard to prove I was worthy of it. When I imagine myself now, I don't see the scandals or the headlines. I see a stage bathed in soft light. No crowd, no cameras, just me and the song. And in that moment, I'm not broken or perfect. I'm free. I like to believe that's how it is where I am now. Quiet, calm, endless peace. No applause. No judgment. No pain. Just the sound of music drifting through the light. And maybe, somewhere out there, a little girl is standing in a small church, singing with her whole heart, trying to be heard. If she can hear me, I hope she knows she already is. Because that's what I always wanted. Not to be famous. Not to be adored. Just to be heard.